For years, people said Nikon was finished. Too late, too slow, too boring. But in 2026, Nikon didn't just come back, they completely flipped the market. And the craziest part? You don't need 10 Nikon cameras, you only need 3. Welcome to Alt Buzz, where we cut through hype, specs, and paid reviews to tell you what's actually worth buying. If you care about cameras with value, character, and long-term relevance, hit subscribe. You're in the right place. Whether you're a beginner, a creator, or a working professional, Nikon's lineup can feel overwhelming. I've spent months testing their entire range, comparing bodies side by side, analyzing real-world performance, and I've boiled everything down to 3 clear choices. 3 cameras that actually matter. Let's start with the most affordable one and work our way up to the absolute beast. At number 3, we have the Nikon Z50 II. This is the camera that politely tells your iPhone, "Thank you for your service. Now step aside." For content creators just starting out, the barrier to entry has always been intimidating. Real cameras feel heavy, complicated, and expensive. The menus feel like they were designed by engineers for engineers. The learning curve feels steep, and most people give up before they even start. But here's what Nikon figured out in late 2024. They took the brain of their $5,000 flagship, the Z9, and dropped it into a body that costs less than most smartphones. The EXPEED 7 processor isn't just marketing talk. Sure, it's the same autofocus logic that professional sports photographers trust when they can't afford to miss a shot. What does that actually mean for you? It means the camera sticks to faces. It tracks eyes even when people turn their heads. It recognizes animals, vehicles, and products without you lifting a finger. The subject detection doesn't guess, it knows. For someone starting a YouTube channel, doing product reviews, or shooting vlogs, this changes everything. There's even a dedicated product showcase mode. You hold up a product in front of the lens, and the camera automatically shifts focus from your face to the item in your hand. No manual focus pull, no second take, no frustration, just pure confidence. This camera is light. It fits in one hand. It doesn't intimidate you, and that matters more than people admit. Because gear that feels approachable is gear you actually use. I've watched too many people buy expensive cameras that sit in closets because they are too intimidating to take out. The Z50 II doesn't have that problem. It begs to be used. The APS-C sensor keeps the cost down while giving you extra reach for wildlife or sports. If you're shooting birds or distant subjects, that crop factor becomes an advantage. You get more zoom without buying longer lenses. Yes, it sacrifices some low-light performance compared to full-frame bodies. And no, it doesn't have in-body image stabilization. But those aren't deal breakers. They're trade-offs. And for the price, they're smart ones. You can always add stabilized lenses later. You can work around low light with faster glass or better technique. What you can't add later is confidence. And this camera gives you that from day one. This isn't a starter camera. It's a serious creator tool at a beginner price. If you're launching content in 2026, if you're tired of your phone's fake depth of field and computational trickery, this is the best price to performance Nikon makes. It's the camera that turns viewers into creators. But what if specs aren't what you're chasing? What if you want something that makes you feel something? What if you want a camera that becomes part of your identity? At number 2, we have the Nikon Zf. This is the heartbreaker. There are cameras you buy because you need them, and then there are cameras you buy because they speak to something deeper. The Nikon Zf, released in late 2023, is the second kind. It looks like it walks straight out of 1983. When brass dials, physical controls, real weight in your hands. The kind of weight that says, I'm not just a tool, I'm an instrument. But under that vintage shell, you get a full-frame sensor, in-body image stabilization, and modern autofocus that rivals anything Sony or Canon can throw at you. Here's the thing about retro design. Most companies get it wrong. They slap some fake leather on a digital body, add a few cosmetic dials that don't actually do anything, and call it nostalgia. It's hollow. It's empty. Nikon didn't do that. They studied the film cameras people still love decades later. The FM2, the F3. Cameras that had intention baked into every dial. Cameras where every control had a purpose. With the ZF, changing your ISO means turning a physical wheel. You feel the clicks. You hear the mechanism. Adjusting exposure compensation means rotating a tactile dial that gives you real feedback. You don't menu dive. You don't tap screens. You just shoot. And then there's the black and white switch. One flick and your entire viewfinder goes monochrome. Suddenly, you stop seeing color. You start seeing light, shadows, texture, contrast, the way shapes interact, the way highlights fall. It changes how you compose. Not because you're forced to shoot in black and white. You can still capture color raw files. But your brain shifts. You start thinking like Cartier-Bresson, like Ansel Adams, like the photographers who understood that light matters more than saturation. It slows you down, and somehow your photos get better. Not because the sensor is doing anything different, but because you are. You become more intentional, more patient, more present. In a world where cameras are getting faster, more automated, more artificial intelligence-driven, the ZF asks you to slow down and actually think about what you're creating. This camera has soul. People buy it even when they don't need it. I've talked to photographers who own 3 other cameras, and they still bought the ZF. Not because it does something the others can't, but because it makes them feel something the others don't. The resale value holds strong because the design is timeless. 10 years from now, this camera will still look good. It won't feel dated. It won't feel like a relic from 2023. It'll just feel classic. This isn't a camera you upgrade from. It's one you keep. It's the camera you pass down to someone who's just falling in love with photography. If photography feels boring again, if your current gear feels lifeless, if you're shooting out of obligation instead of passion, this is the camera that brings the spark back. It reminds you why you started in the first place. Now, if you're enjoying this breakdown, subscribe to Alt Buzz. It helps the channel more than you think. And if you want to support our channel, get our membership. Core member is $5. Elite partner is $10. Check out the link below in the description for all the details. If you want to support the channel long-term, that's the best way. Also, you can visit our website for detailed camera breakdown, link in the description. Now let's talk about the camera that does everything. The camera that doesn't ask you to choose. At number 1, we have the Nikon Z6 III. This is the Sony killer. For years, Sony owned the hybrid camera space. If you wanted autofocus that didn't miss and video specs that future-proofed your investment, you bought an Alpha 7. Canon tried to compete but locked you into their expensive RF mount ecosystem. Fujifilm made beautiful cameras but couldn't quite match the autofocus speed. Nikon was always close, always almost there, but never quite at the top. But in mid-2024, Nikon dropped a bombshell. They built the world's first partially stacked full-frame sensor. That phrase might sound technical, but here's what it actually means. You get the speed of a flagship camera without the flagship price. The sensor reads data faster, which means less rolling shutter in video and snappier autofocus in photos. Rolling shutter is that weird jello effect you see when you pan quickly or when fast-moving subjects distort. With a partially stacked sensor, that nearly disappears. It's the kind of innovation that changes entire product categories. Sony had stacked sensors in their top-tier bodies, but they charged flagship prices. Nikon figured out how to deliver most of that performance at mid-range pricing. That's the game changer. The autofocus on this camera is approaching Z8 levels. It locks onto subjects in near darkness. It tracks erratically moving athletes without losing them in the frame. It doesn't hunt. It doesn't hesitate. And for wedding photographers, event shooters, or anyone working in unpredictable environments, that reliability is everything. You can't ask a bride to walk down the aisle again because your camera missed focus. Plus, you can't tell a basketball player to repeat that dunk. The Z6 III doesn't make you worry about those moments. It just captures them. But where the Z6 III really pulls ahead is video. 6K raw internal recording, not external, not through an expensive recorder that adds bulk and failure points, just straight to the card. That's future-proofing for the next 5 years. As monitors get sharper and delivery formats evolve, you'll still have room to crop, stabilize, and color grade without losing quality. Most cameras give you 4K and call it a day. But 6K means you can punch in for close-ups in post. You can stabilize shaky footage without losing resolution. You can deliver in 4K and still have breathing room. The thermal management is smart too. Long shoots don't overheat the body. Ultra, you can record continuously without watching a temperature gauge climb into the red zone. I've tested this on hour-long interviews, outdoor events in summer heat, and multi-camera live streams. The camera just keeps going. Whether you're covering a wedding ceremony, filming a documentary interview, or streaming a live event, the Z6 Mark III doesn't quit on you. One body, one lens, everything handled. And here's the beautiful part. This camera doesn't force specialization. You don't need a separate photo body and video body. You don't need to choose between speed and resolution. You don't need to compromise. Weddings, YouTube, sports, travel, commercial work. One camera, everything. Some photographers like having specialized tools for specialized jobs, but most of us just want one reliable body that can handle whatever comes next. If you can only buy one camera in 2026, this is the smartest choice you can make. It doesn't lock you into one type of work. It doesn't make you sacrifice photo quality for video specs or vice versa. It just does the job, and it does it so well that you stop thinking about the camera and start thinking about the story. This is the camera most people should buy, even if they end up buying something else, because sometimes we chase the exotic, the limited edition, the cult classic. But deep down, we all need a workhorse, and this is the best workhorse Nikon has ever made. Let's simplify it one last time. On a budget? Get the Z50 Mark II. Want style and soul? Get the Zf. Need one camera for everything? Get the Z6 Mark III. These aren't random picks. These aren't based on what's trending or what companies paid us to promote. These are the three cameras that actually solve real problems for real photographers and creators in 2026. Nikon's comeback isn't about having the most models, it's about having the right ones. So tell me, are you team retro or team future? Are you chasing the tactile magic of the Zf or the unstoppable versatility of the Z6 Mark III? Let me know in the comments. I want to know which one speaks to you. Subscribe to Alt Buzz for honest camera content without the noise. And if you just want to support the channel directly, you can use Super Thanks. You can send anything from $2 up to $100, and it really helps keep this channel independent. If you want to support our channel, get our membership by clicking link in the description. Core member gets you the essentials. Elite Partner unlocks everything. Also check out website our detailed blog. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.